My boyfriend ghosted me, so I gave away his PlayStation for free.
Ghosts can't play video games.
Finders keepers. So I, 28 female, don't consider myself a petty person. I've had some rough relationships in the past though, and this one was the only time I had done anything petty afterwards. By the way, this comes from Turtle Army 21 on the OK Storytime subreddit. So 4 years ago, I was in a relationship that was not good for me, but I didn't realize it. I'd like to explain the red flags I ignored because I think it might help any readers understand where I was at during the time of my petty revenge.
Please give this in list format.
What?
Please give this in list
format, please.
I love lists.
I also think it'll help me therapeutically to vent a little. For context, at the time, I was about 21 and my ex was also 21 when we started dating. Let's just call him Jack. Jack and I were in a long distance relationship. He was in National Guard. Wow. So I decided when it was time to live together, I would move across the country 12 hours to live with him. Here was the first red flag. Upon moving in with him, Jack was called away for National Guard. That part isn't red flag. It's to be expected with his job. However, he volunteered to stay longer even though I had just moved in and we hadn't had any time together.
With no benefits whatsoever. He's like,
I'll stay. Then 5 days after returning, he told me he was going on an airsoft trip with his friends for another week. So I basically moved across the country and was left alone for several weeks.
What?
Pretty messed up. At the time, I did tell him I was uncomfortable and disappointed that he chose to leave for so long. And his response was, "You really wouldn't expect me to change my life and hobbies just because you moved here, right? Freaking OP moved our whole life here."
Come on, dude.
Saying this now with clarity, I realized what a huge red flag that was. The second red flag came about 8-ish months later. We were still living near his base, but he sat me down and told me that he was thinking about his future. He realized he didn't want to be in the National Guard, but wanted to learn to fly helicopters.
What a life.
Mind you, he'd never even been in a helicopter before, and it felt random to me, but I was just happy that he had a goal.
You don't know. He probably played a video game with a helicopter.
Yeah, he's probably got that on the PlayStation.
Yeah.
He hadn't had a job outside of his National Guard. This is important. They paid him for a once-a-month weekend training, and otherwise, he didn't work. But I worked 3 jobs to make rent. We lived in an expensive apartment, and his side of the bills came from a very nice bit of money his grandparents left him.
Ooh, another red flag, I'd say.
Yeah.
If you're using money your grandparents left you to pay for
all of your
rent,
bills, his car, schooling, and rent were all paid for out of that inheritance. I thought it was nice. He could focus on hobbies and finding a job he liked rather than being burdened with working like I was. I worked 3 jobs and still didn't make as much as he did from his monthly inheritance. So I was happy he figured out this helicopter thing. However, he ended the conversation with, "Training will take me to a different state. You can come if you want."
What?
So he's just breaking up with her.
I feel like what he's trying to do is butter her up for marriage so then he could marry her and get a lot of benefits from the army.
Oh, could be. Yeah.
But now he's rethinking that. So he's like, I don't know how I feel about this plan.
It seems like he's just like really not committed to her at all.
Yeah, because if I'm in a relationship and they move 12 hours and I'm about to move again, hey, please come with me.
Yeah. This is just, you can come if you want.
Come on.
I was flabbergasted. You can come if you want to? Like I was a pet, not a living girlfriend who had moved 12 hours away from her family to be with him. He didn't even ask if I would be okay with moving again, which I was. I told him this. I would move again, but I was sad he didn't ask me first. Girl, no. Don't move again.
Don't do it.
He doesn't care about you.
He doesn't.
He was upset that I was not as excited as I should have been. Now, let's get to the part where we broke up. Yes.
LFG.
Jay deployed to a different country about a year after I had moved in with them. This was all expected, and I knew it would happen. However, after he left, I became depressed. Now I had almost no one around to talk to. I was lonely and felt overwhelmed by work. I ended up moving back to my home state, but I talked to Jack and we agreed he would move to my home state when he got out of deployment, and we would live there while I got better, then go to his helicopter training. The relationship continued for another 6 months, and I felt a little better living closer to my family. However, one night I called him and expressed how depressed I was. I told him it had gotten bad, and I felt disappointed in how the relationship had been going. He'd just forgotten my birthday, and anytime I got a chance to call him, he'd cut me short because he was playing PlayStation with the boys.
Here comes the addiction.
He hung up and ghosted me for a week. After that week, he sent me a message through Facebook breaking up with me. Through Facebook?
Through Facebook? Okay.
Not even a text?
That's
Not
the
even
least
a
you
call?
could do.
Facebook?
This is a kind of a text guy. Plus, dude.
I hate this man.
Scum of the earth.
The message went, "I'm sorry, but this won't work. That's it.
This is what happened. He was on Facebook dating and he found someone. He's like, he's
like, oh, wait, I'm still in a relationship.
Real quick, let me message my girlfriend. This ain't gonna work.
My ex. He never called. I have not heard his voice since the conversation where I told him I was depressed. Granted, I do know that no person is obligated to stay in a relationship with a depressed person. But at that point, we'd been together for 3 years and we lived together. Our shared furniture was all with me. Our dog was with me. I kept the dog. We'd even gotten an apartment that he'd been returning to with me, and we were paying rent together. So not only did this Facebook text leave me single, it left me with rent I couldn't afford alone. It gets worse. No. Months after the breakup, Jack got home from deployment. He had taken my favorite book series with him. So I asked him to please mail them to me. I mailed his brother all of his stuff so he could mail me some books, right? Wrong. This garbage can person only sent me half of the books and they were covered in dirt. I would be so freaking livid.
She doesn't let people borrow her books.
I don't. I would be livid.
You want to let me borrow a book? I live with you. Like, you could go in my room and take your book back.
I trust that I would get it back from you, but I have a very specific condition in which I keep my books. They were torn up. No, bent and so dirty that when I opened the box, sand covered my floor. What did he freaking do to these books?
He took them across the country, dude.
Mind you, yes, he was on deployment, but he lived indoors the whole time, playing video games and reading. It wasn't like he was camping underneath the stars the whole time. So here's my petty revenge. I couldn't do much because he was deployed, and honestly, I felt bad about putting my depression on him, and I felt awful about asking him to move back to my home state while I worked through my issues. But he broke up with me over Facebook, then destroyed my books. I did mail his stuff back, like I said, except he didn't specifically ask for the PlayStation back. I still had it. I knew he played it constantly when he was home. I didn't want it because it reminded me too much of him. So I packed it up and gave it to my friend's nephew for free. Games and all.
Woo-wee.
That nephew got lucky.
Dude, he's like, let's go.
But you know how you can get lucky? If you join us live every weekday at 3 p.m. PST on YouTube, just tap our profile.
Yeah.
Yeah. There is an edit though. What do we think about that?
Nephew's up.
I honestly think you have not, I think, sure, petty, but he ghosted you and broke up with you over Facebook. So you have a right.
Dude, I still have my ex's Apple TV thing. I accidentally forgot to send it back to her.
What?
So I sent back a few things to my ex, and then there was like another thing of things I forgot to give back my ex, but I just threw them away.
Yeah. No, I gave all of my ex's stuff immediately.
Nice.
I like put it all in a bag and I was here.
Good for you. I still have a few books. Kind of feel bad, but
too late now.
It's life.
Edit. I realized I might get and already have gotten hate for this. I agree that if someone deploys, they should be respected. Okay, who's saying that? Because it's not about him being deployed. It's about him being a freaking a-hole.
Yeah.
But I also feel like everyone should be respected. And deployment does not give someone the right to be awful to their significant others. Regardless, I hope any vets who read this are not offended by what I did. If it does offend, I'm sorry. If it does matter at all, he did not pay for the PlayStation and I sent all of his other stuff back to him. He didn't send me most of my things back, only the 4 ruined books. Of course, this is still something petty that I did, hence the tag. I know it's petty. I do feel bad. And that's it. Don't feel bad, girl.
Yeah, no, you're good.
You're good.
You're in the clear. Have the right to be angry. You. Oh, wow. You have the right to be angry, and that was mean.
Yeah, and you know what? You did a good deed, too, because you gave your friend's nephew a PlayStation.
And he will always love you.
He's going to be like, oh, my God, you're so freaking cool.
You're the best ever.
Yeah.